All right, welcome back to Modern Tactical Shooting. I'm Jeff Gurwitch, and in this video, I'll be doing a comparison between the upper receiver group improved, that is the URGI Upper by Geissele, against the Block II, and was it worth the switch within SOCOM? I'll be comparing this upper right here against a clone of my work gun from 2015, pictured right here. Basically testing the shootability of this, the accuracy, talking about the components, and really, was this worth the switch within SOCOM? So let's get into it right now. So before I get into the URGI Upper against the Block II, I want to give a special thanks to the dedicated viewer that sent in his Geissele URGI Upper, this one right here, for me to try. That's what made this video possible. And I want to cover a little bit about the history of the Geissele URGI Upper, really how it's found its way into SOCOM. And for that, we have to go back to about 2009, and that's when the small arms carbine competition was going on within SOCOM. So it was around 2008, 2009, SOCOM was looking for a gun to replace the M4. A lot of companies sent in some excellent rifles. I got to try and shoot all of them. Now, Geissele did not have a gun in the contest. And of course, SOCOM did not actually adopt any of the rifles. Their findings were back then that there were no significant improvements at the time that warranted getting rid of the M4A1. But that did not stop SOCOM in looking at further developing the M4A1. These slides right here, I think these are from 2015, 2016. Now, I retired out of the Army in 2017, but as you can see from these slides here, and again, maybe around 2016, they were looking at improving the coatings on the rifle. Phosphate coatings, that's 1965 technology, along with chrome lined barrels, and here they're looking at DLC. Also replacing the handguard. One of the biggest complaints about the handguard, and of course this is the front sight post version, which was completely replaced by 2015. Of course, the non-front sight post version is what it was replaced with. I did not see a non-front sight post version until halfway through my last tour in 2015. So I just stuck with the front sight post version. That's why the clone of my work gun has one. But guys do not like the large circumference of the quad rail. I actually don't mind the large diameter or circumference, but most SF guys found it too large and they wanted a more narrower handguard. And of course, back around 2015, 2016, 2017 was the M-LOK versus the key mod wars, and of course M-LOK won out. But guys wanted a more narrower handguard, basically mimicking what the top competitive shooters are using. And a narrower handguard gives you better, I would say, feel or control on the gun for most shooters. It fits their hand better, especially with a C-clamp grip, which is your thumb on top of the handguard. So guys always desired that. They always thought the Daniel Defense RIS-2 rail was a little bit large. And if you look at this slide right here, they're looking at a mid-length gas system, because a mid-length gas system, a carbine-length gas system, it puts out about 26,000 PSI, and that's gas going into the gun to make it run. With a mid-length, it's about 21,000 PSI, so a little less gas going into the gun, which is easier on the gun and less wear on parts. So hopefully the parts last longer, especially with the adoption of M855A1 back in 2012. That ammo is way jacked up in terms of pressure, putting even more wear on the gun. And with the use of a suppressor, which really, suppressors are standard. That's what every SF guy's been running ever since 2007. With the adoption of Block II and that surefire SOCOM suppressor, guys just run suppressed all the time, and that's of course more gas running into the gun. So running a mid-length system, a little less gas in the gun, so hopefully it extends the life of some of your parts, like your bolt. I've talked to a lot of military guys ever since I made the video on the M855A1, and I'll put a link down here in the description. I've gotten a lot of reports that there were indeed a lot of increases in barrel wear and parts like bolts breaking from that increased pressure of the M855A1. I didn't really see it during my time, but I ran mostly Mark II 6.2 77 grain. But if a mid-length system is a little easier on the gas in the gun and extends the life of the parts, then hey, why not go with it? And it's softer felt recoil. And mid-length systems have been all the rage in the competitive world of 3-gun, I would say since about 2006, just because, again, a little less felt recoil in shooting, and of course, less felt recoil allows for the sights to settle or the dot or scope to settle faster and faster follow-on shots. Now let me go over the specs of the Geissele URGI Upper real quick. This has a 14.5 barrel, of course a Surefire 4-prong flash hider. The barrel's chrome lined, of course it's got that Geissele M-LOK rail. One update I do like is the Geissele airborne charging handle. I'm a lefty, so I need that left-handed charging handle. Special Forces got the Gas Buster charging handle back in 2004, but each team only got a handful of them. It had an extra large latch on it. I only saw a handful per team. There was never a full issue. So for the most part, most SF guns were equipped with the standard dismal charging handle from the M16A2 design, basically from 1985. So I like the airborne charging handle. And of course, this has that mid-length gas system. But outside of this being a Geissele and not Daniel Defense Rail, that's really what you're getting with this. And again, mid-length gas system is the big change. And of course, the Geissele M-LOK rail. Now this lower that it's on, obviously this isn't a real military issue gun. But this lower receiver, all the accessories, these are the same accessories I used in combat. Some of these multiple tours. This Arredondo extended magazine well makes for super fast reloads. I talk about a lot of videos. BCM gunfighter grip, arc defense buttstock. I use this very one in combat. Now our issue guns, they use Geissele Super Select Fire match grade triggers, and we got those around late 2013, 2014. Now this one here, I believe this has a Hyperfire EDT trigger in it, but it's an outstanding trigger for the money. Now for the comparisons, I'm going to be using the same lower, and it has a H2 buffer, and I'll just be running the lowers or running the uppers on the same lower to get the best comparison I can make. But let me switch the optics and the upper here, and we'll talk about my Block II real quick. So if you've been a fan of my channel at all, you've probably seen this gun in downrange photos, or I've talked about it previously on different episodes here on Modern Tactical Shooting. But this is a clone of my Block II front sight post version that I used during my last tour back in 2015. This is the VCOG 1-6 that I actually took with me on that tour and I utilized in numerous firefights. But real briefly, Colt SOCOM heavy barrel with Surefire flash hider, 4-prong. I got the VCOG on here. I do have a Predator offset mount with a doctor sight in here. I won't be using this during the comparisons. I'll only be running the VCOG scope. And of course, all the same accessories. I have an extended bolt catch right here. It comes from an old Ready Mag kit. I'm a lefty, so I slap the side for the reload to put the gun back into battery. But this is my Block II clone. Of course, the Daniel Defense RIS-2. Again, front sight post rail. But yes, this is my Block II, near and dear to my heart. But let's get back to the URGI and let's talk about some shooting comparisons on the range. So the drills I'm about to cut to are just some simple range drills to check out basically the handling of the URGI against the Block II to see if this mid-length gas system makes any difference in the narrow rail as far as handling and driving the gun. So I'm going to kick it off with 3 targets, shooting them twice each, starting on the center first. I'm going to do 2 runs of each drill, and then I'll post the findings, the best gun or upper against each other on the drills. So let's kick it off with 2-2-2. All right, 3 targets, 2 shots each, starting on the center target first. Let's see what I got. And I've got 2 C's, a 207. And I am clean with a 205. And I'm a 204. Let's go look at the hits. Clean, clean, and clean. And a 204 again. And let me see what I got. I'm clean. I think I'm just warming up right now. So best run was with the URGI Upper with a 204 clean. Now let's jump to 3 targets, shot 3 times each, starting on the center target first. All right, now I'll do 3 shots per target, starting on the center target first. And I think I'm clean with a 261. I think I got 1C, 278. Let's check out the target. There's my 1C. Everything else, 2 C's on my last run. And a 269. And I think we are 1C in the center. If anything, I got 1C low. I felt it. And I'm a 261. And here's that 1C on the left. I actually got 2 that time. I felt it. That's from the first run. And I'm clean on the right. So time-wise, I'll have to look back at it. Hit-wise, I'm getting a few C's each run with both guns, so that's my average today. So out of the 2 uppers, actually my Block II performed the best with a time of 261 clean, so not too bad. Now let's cut to the next drill, which is going to be 5 rounds as fast as I can from about 5 yards. And that's a 125, clean. And 1C. I'm a 133. Again, I'm shooting a little low today. Here's my 1C, just shooting a little low. So the best performing upper with the 5-round string at 5 yards was the Block II with a time of a 125 clean. All right, now we got 3 targets. I'll shoot 3 shots each, starting on the center target first. At about 15 yards, I'm going to sprint forward at 7 yards and do it again. And I'm a 1026. Let's check out the targets. I think all that shooting, I'm shooting a little low today. I got a C there and 2 C's there. 3 C's, 4 C's. All right, here we are at 3 targets, 3 shots each from the 15. Run up to the 7, do it again. This time URGI. Let's see what I got. .937, and I think I got a lot of C's on this one. Let's check it out. C on the left, C on the center target, and a C on the far right. Not too bad. Let's cut to the studio. And for that last drill, the winner was the URGI Upper with a time of 937 with 3 C's. So not too bad, URGI Upper. Now all those drills really, as you can see, it's basically neck and neck. The SOPMOD Block II came out ahead on a couple drills and the URGI Upper. I would say, honestly, I think this particular upper right here is overgassed. For a mid-length upper, this recoil felt actually sharper than my Block II upper with that carbine length gas system. Hopefully it's just this one upper right here. So actually I was a little disappointed with the handling of this Geissele upper. For a mid-length, it just feels slightly overgassed to me. The recoil is a little bit sharp. But as you can see, once I warmed up, I had no problem shooting some super fast splits with this rifle. So maybe it just took me getting used to the different feel of the mid-length upper. But now let's cut to some range footage. I'm going to shoot the two uppers head to head for accuracy. Not super scientific. I'm going to basically do 5-round groups out to 200 yards. Now the rifle is only supported by a front bag and not a rear bag. And I only do 5-round strings, so again, not super scientific. A best or a better method of accuracy would probably have been to do 10-round strings and have the rifle supported in front and rear. But this is not my upper, so I don't want to put a super amount of rounds through it. But let's check out the results of me shooting 200 yards and just doing some 5-round groups. Okay, so here's my target from that long range shooting. Again, only 5-round groups, more scientific, probably would have been 10-round groups. Now I'm going to cut to a photo of this target right here. Now, if you look at this photo, the top group is from the SOPMOD Block II. 5 rounds, you can see I pulled one. Now, if we don't count the shot that I pulled, that's a 2.1 inch group. So that gun shot 1 MOA. If we count that flyer, that's a 5-inch group, and that's 2.5 minutes of angle. And that's pretty good, and that's normally what I kind of shoot anyways. Looking at this middle group right here, again, I pulled a round off to the left. If we don't count that round I pulled, I shoot a 2-inch group, so that's a true 1 minute of angle capability out of the URGI, and that's pretty good. And if we do count that flyer, it's a 5-inch group, so it becomes 2.5 minutes of angle. Now, in a combat rifle, a rifle like your URGI, really any AR or M4 duty grade, I'll take anything under 3 MOA all day long. I can usually hang about 2.5 minutes of angle. And again, I wasn't the most stable. I only used a front bag. I didn't use a rear bag. So really not too bad, and the performance is too close to call. But it's good to see, again, if we don't count that round that I pulled, and I pulled a round with both uppers, 1 MOA capability. Now, let me mention the ammo I used real quick. Now, I don't have any ammo sponsors. I'm a small channel. I purchase all my own ammo. The ammo I used for that testing is PMC X-Tac 55 grain. And I think for the money, this is the best commercially large quantity produced out there. The best balance between cost and performance. This PMC X-Tac shoots like a laser beam if there's no wind. As you can see, if you don't count those rounds I pulled, this ammo is capable of 1 minute of angle. And at worst, it's 2.5 minutes of angle. Now, it's 55 grain, so really, once you get past, I would say 300 yards, wind starts to greatly affect this. So if I was a dedicated long-range shooter with my IR, saying shooting past 400 yards, say out to 600 yards and beyond, I wouldn't use 55 grain. I'd look for heavier ammo. But for the type of shooting I do, up close and fast in my classes, and in 2-gun matches, the farthest I'm shooting is 100 yards at, say, 6-inch plates. And in 3-gun, if I hit a 3-gun match, the farthest you're going to shoot is about 450 yards. And this will get it done good enough for me. So again, I'm not sponsored by PMC. I have no ammo sponsors. I purchased my own, but I highly recommend PMC X-Tac. Again, it's the best balance between cost and performance. Now, if we go back to the target, we look at this group right here. This is a 5-inch group. I did it using PMC X-Tac and a different gun with my primary arms micro dot, a red dot. So I shot a 5-inch group using PMC X-Tac at 200 yards, and that's the performance I'm looking for. If I can do a 5-inch group at 200 yards, I can hit a 6-inch plate at 200 yards, something I would see in a gun match. So again, PMC X-Tac, not sponsored, it's just really good ammo. So after all that shooting, what do I think about the URGI Upper? Well, I have to approach it from an organizational level, how the Army views it, and give you my individual, my independent thoughts on going with the URGI Upper. First of all, for SOCOM to adopt this, I think it's the right move. Guys wanted this style of rail. Now this gun, this upper feels over-gassed to me. Hopefully this is not the norm with Geissele. Hopefully this is the exception. So for a mid-length, this feels slightly over-gassed. I expected a little bit less felt recoil impulse. But mid-length gas system is supposed to be softer shooting and easier on the parts. And if that extends the life of the upper, then I think it's a smart move by SOCOM to go to this. And really, this is the pinnacle of where competition shooting has influenced the M4. And while I'm known for modern tactical shooting, I'm trying to grow my channel in the last 2 years. I'm probably most known for my series of articles in defensereview.com, the Competition to Combat Crossover, where I document all the accessories and items that guys were using on their guns in Afghanistan. I did 3 tours in Afghanistan. I wrote 4 articles for Defense Review. The 4th article, it was after I retired, and I got feedback from my team when they went on a combat tour without me. But in that, I document all the competition style accessories that are being used in combat. And there's a lot of great stuff out there. And really, the URGI, guys wanted certain things like this narrow rail based on competitive shooting. Because what wins in a gun match, can win in gun fights. Now, yes, there's some racy stuff that the reliability is a little suspect out there that gamers really push their rifles to, but there's a lot of solid items that are being used in competitive shooting. And really, there's no difference between this setup right here and a champion shooter's 3-gun setup in competitive shooting. Really, the only difference is the muzzle device. Of course, the Army is using flash hiders, and in competitive shooting, they're using brakes and comps to really eliminate all recoil. But you could give this setup right here to a 3-gun competitor, and they would not feel that held back. So again, from an organizational perspective, from SOCOM's perspective, I think the URGI was a smart move. I think it's a success. Now, of course, the Army's transitioning to the M7, which I have a video on. I have my doubts if that's going to be the right pick. But as far as the M4 platform, aside from, say, going to a gas piston, I think we've stretched it as far as we can go. Now, there are some things about the URGI Upper I'm a little disappointed on. Again, the Army was looking at using other coatings way back when. And I don't know if it was a Geissele decision or an Army decision, but this has phosphate coatings on the barrel and the receiver, and it has a chrome lined barrel. And that's chrome lining and phosphate coatings. That's 1965 technology. Sure, it works, and this is an accurate upper, but there's a lot of, I think, newer and better methods out there. I was a member of the Adams Arms shooting team, and I was an Adams Arms brand ambassador for about 10 years. And Adams Arms went to melaniting their barrels inside and out years ago. And instead of getting about 10,000, maybe 12,000 rounds through a chrome lined barrel at most, those Adams Arms melanite barrels, we were seeing, all of us, over 15,000 rounds in life on average, and that's shooting super fast splits. So I'm a little disappointed they went with a chrome lined barrel still. I think maybe there's better options out there for longer barrel life. And same thing with phosphate coatings. It's the worst corrosion resistant coating you can put on a piece of metal. We have DLC, melanite, we have all these different metal treatments that work way better, nickel boron bolt carriers and things such as that. So I would have liked to seen better coatings on these uppers. And again, I don't know whose decision it was. It was a good chance it was the Army. Army is very traditional, and I bet you they probably said, hey, chrome lining works and let's just keep chrome lining. But I would have liked to seen maybe different coatings. And really the only other thing you could do on here is go to a gas piston or put adjustable gas on. And I think that would have been a good move too, because with M855A1 and running these suppressed, they're way overgassed. So maybe having a suppressor setting would have been a good idea. But again, this upper, its life is limited with the M7 on the horizon of being adopted. But to summarize, I think the URGI upper was a good move by SOCOM. It comes in a 14.5, and I think the shorty version, I think they're being issued 12.5s over the old 10.5 or 10.3 uppers of the Mark 18. So the Mark 18 is officially gone. There's no more Daniel Defense Mark 18s. It's been replaced by a shorty Geissele upper. So really, those are my thoughts. Again, I wouldn't feel held back if I was issued one of these and going into combat. And, if I had to jump in Ukraine right now and I was issued one, I would not feel held back at all. So smart move by SOCOM, I think, in adopting this upper. So there it is, upper receiver group improved against my Block II clone. Now I'm a little biased, I'm a little nostalgic, and I like my Block II. It is the last setup I ran in combat back in 2015. So really it's probably all up to personal taste when it comes to an individual, if you want to go with this style upper. Again, I think it was a smart move by SOCOM. This upper is what the guys wanted. So you should always go towards, what the warfighters want. And they wanted this. and I think it's worked out well. And of course, the M7 is on the horizon. Again, I'm not too hip with the M7. I have not shot one yet, but just from what I've seen, and I do have a separate video on my thoughts on the XM7. But as always, stay tuned to Modern Tactical Shooting. I always have more new content coming on the way. So hopefully you found this video entertaining and enjoyable. I'm Jeff Gurwitch. Thanks for watching.